This video is long overdue. A while back, I was sent a bunch of VR products to test for Quest 3 and 3S by AMVR. Unfortunately, I got sick with COVID right after I got that shipment and was basically in bed for almost 3 weeks. And for the next 2 weeks after that, my energy level was like nil. So being in VR more than about 20-30 minutes at a time completely wiped me out, which isn't really going to be a fair comparison for these products. So I waited till I got better, fully recovered, and then I spent the next couple of weeks on Twitch stress testing each product in order to get this review done. So a big thanks to AMVR for sending me these products, and I'm also thankful that they were very patient with the fact that I was sick for several weeks and could not get this video done because I didn't have time to test anything right away. Also, I had actually bought one of their products before they sent me these other three, so you're going to get a bonus one at the end of the video that wasn't actually sent by AMVR, but I did pay my money for it, so I wanted to talk about that too. First product were the knuckle style controller grips. If you ever used the Valve Index, they're very similar to that, where there's a strap that goes around the back of your wrist that holds the controller in place. This was by far my favorite product for a bunch of different reasons. First, I've used several controller grips before, and usually the part that goes over your hand is like a nylon or something that actually can start to irritate your hand, or at least my hand, whenever I use them too often. So there was some time after I got my Quest 3 where I didn't use controller grips because my hands were getting irritated. These feel really comfortable. There's some nice like insulation or padding or something in the middle of this, so it doesn't feel like it's pressing against your hand no matter how tight you get it. There's a knob at the bottom of this that you can use to pull the wrist strap tighter, so basically it's nice and secure against your hand. I have been known to yeet a controller or two across the room, even when I'm using the wrist straps. More on those in a second. Being able to leave your fingers free to grab a drink, look at your phone, type, if you're able to do typing without using your thumb, actually was super comfortable. I'm a big fan of these. They were great. Like most controller grips, this one does have a battery compartment that just opens up like this for you to be able to change your battery out without taking the full grip off. This again is one of the most secure ones I've seen, just because the insulation part is fairly thick, so it doesn't really feel like it's sloshing around if your hand is smushing up against it, if that makes sense. If you use a bunch of controller grips, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. I should point out that the bottom of this does not have a slot for your wrist strap, so if you're someone who swears by wrist straps, that may be a bit of a deal breaker for you. Personally, I didn't really miss them because if you use these wrist straps enough, one, especially if you're getting sweaty, there's a couple things that happen. First, this band or whatever you call it that actually tightens it against your wrist and then pulls it back, this can start to slip after a while if you're just moving your hand around over and over again. If you're using like a really high motion game, like a rhythm game, melee combat, something like that, these start to loosen after a while. The other thing is sweat. These are sponges basically that just absorb a ton of sweat, and they just feel really disgusting against your arm. I'm someone who does a lot of like VR demos. I do VR demos with friends and family, and when I put one of these on them after someone else has been using it and they've been sweating, they just feel grossed out immediately. I see their face every single time. So really didn't miss the wrist straps. As long as you have this really secure against your hand, I'm pretty happy with the quality of it. It's been impossible. I've actually tried to throw this off my hand when I had it really tight, could not do it. So great product. Second item was the replacement strap. This is an essential for anyone who has a Quest 3, 3S, Quest 2, any kind of Quest headset that's not a Pro, because you can't change that strap. The ridiculous jock strap that they send you with the Quest 3 and the Quest 3S, not a fan. Here's my Quest 3S with the original jock strap on it. It just sucks. It's not a good product. And as much as people have said in the past that, oh, it's not that uncomfortable, they probably didn't wear it for more than 30 minutes because after that your head starts to hurt. Plus, look at my head. Look at the size of my head. This is not something that needs a really tight piece of elastic trying to hold something in place. I have a very large head. That rubber band's not helping. So replacement straps, essential. I was supposed to get a battery strap for this review, but unfortunately AMVR is in the process of switching their batteries out because, as we all know by now, the Quest 3 specifically, Quest 3S still too, but Quest 3 especially, the main model, is an absolute battery hog and is sucking backup batteries dry. So a lot of these vendors, these other companies, in addition to AMVR, have had to swap out their batteries for like bigger milliamps, higher wattages, higher voltages, because it's just not keeping the headsets charged. So the one I got was a standard lead strap style. I'll just open it up here so you can see the whole thing. At first, I wasn't a big fan of the fact that this had padding, because the one I was using before from another company did not have padding against it, and I like that because it didn't feel like it was a pillow against the back of my head, and I didn't have to like keep tightening it over and over and over again to keep it in place. I have since learned that the tightening problem is more from like the tension in the knob itself, and some of the other ones that I got from other companies, the tensioner just didn't hold as well. The padding here isn't so thick that it feels pillowy and not secure against your head, but it's also not so thin that you feel like there's a piece of plastic driving into the back of your neck. The other thing that happens, and the reason I like this pad, and this could be a prevailing theme through most of this, is sweat resistant. This is sweat resistant, so it kind of wicks off without really losing its grip on it. The one I had before didn't have a pad, it was just straight plastic, so whenever I started to sweat, like when I was playing Batman Arkham Shadow to test all these products, that thing just slipped almost right off my head, and I found myself constantly having to retighten it. Never really had to retighten with this one or readjust it, which was a godsend. The other one is the top strap. I personally am an elite strap person at this point. I don't really like halo straps anymore because, again, your boy's got a big head, and since I have a very large head, there's a lot of real estate that comes across this 5 head here, and I end up with VR face more often than not when I use a halo strap versus an elite strap, because this one feels like it's more sitting on the top of my head and it's putting most of the weight of the headset on the top of my head, versus an elite strap feels like it's putting it more across my forehead and across my whole face. So usually when I use a halo strap, I get what people call VR face, where you get those marks going around where your facial interface has just been like compressed against your face. It's not something I find super comfortable, but that's entirely down to your subjectivity and the size of your head, the shape of your head, things like that. For my use case, for this bowling ball of a head I have, this elite strap works fantastically. The other thing to say about the strap, and I've ran into this with other ones, is because the top strap is not that thick, I am someone who likes to use over the ear headphones when I use VR. So being able to put my headphones over the top of these without feeling like it was smushing too far down and like making my head uncomfortable was a huge deal. I got another strap before that I actually didn't review because the top strap was like this thick. It was super thick, so I was having to like push the headphones down as much as possible. Or the other thing I would have to do is loop it. So I have to like put the headphone here and then loop it through here and then like put it under the strap but over the headphones, so it would look something like this. So it looks something like this, where like the top of the headband is under the elite strap. This is not the most comfortable thing in the world to do because then it feels like the headset is pushing down on the headphones, and that just really didn't feel good on top of the head. Because this strap is not as thick, and that's something that won't really matter unless you use over the ear headphones, I was able to get all 3 sets of headphones that I use, and just for different testing purposes, across the top of this strap without any kind of real discomfort, and it didn't feel like it was like pulling my head or pulling my ears up and giving me a headache. So again, just one of the best straps I've used. It isn't a battery strap. I can't really speak to that. I didn't get one. But as far as just standard elite straps, this one is really good. Then there's the product they sent me that I was probably the least happy with, and that is these wraparound earbuds. It has an L-shaped 3.5mm jack that plugs into the right side of your headset, and then the right ear goes here, and the left ear wraps around your head and comes into your left ear like this. There's really great noise cancellation in these and great sound. That wasn't my complaint with it at all. They're actually really good earbuds. The product I had with this product, and this is very specific to me, is that I think I'm just too big for these. I'm a big dude. I'm 6 foot, I'm over 300 pounds, and I got a pretty wide neck. So the amount of leeway on this string going around from my right ear all the way around to my left wasn't long enough to keep the earbud in place if I was doing anything heavily physical. So when I was playing stuff like Metro and I was whipping my head around, you know, because I was scared out of my mind, thinking the spider was going to jump on me, or when I was playing Batman Arkham Shadow and I was spinning around and like throwing punches and all that, I felt the left ear started to tug over and over again, especially when I got sweaty and I could feel the string kind of like just drawing against the back of my neck from the sweat. And then eventually the left ear would just pop out altogether, and I would have to stop and pause and put the left earbud back in and then keep it moving. This happened enough time to a point where I just ended up switching back to my headphones. Again though, the quality in these are actually pretty good. It gets really good sound, gets really good basses, especially for earbuds, because I think the bass in earbuds tends to not be very good. You get 3 different earbuds depending on the size of your ear, and the noise cancellation, I can't really say enough about that. I have a shower because I have a private bathroom that's like 5 feet away from me right now, and I ran my shower the entire time when I did one of my tests, and I could hardly hear the shower when I had the gain volume cranked up using these. So quality wise, these are fine. It's just if you're a bit bigger, if you got a wide neck, something like that, that's something to consider, because you're not really going to have enough string to kind of keep it in place in your left if you're playing something very physical. When I played a game that was sitting down, like for instance when I was playing Augmented Empire, when I was playing Triangle Strategy, because that was something I could play while I was sick because I didn't have to move for that, these actually worked perfectly fine. But the second I got up and had to be physical, rhythm games, Batman, Metro, all those games, it just didn't really work for me. So again, this is a very specific use case thing, but overall it's a pretty good product. And then there's the last product, the one I bought before AMVR reached out to me, and that's their facial interface. I should point out that this one is their original model. They actually have a new model out right now that has a knob on the side that you can use to like lengthen or shorten the distance to get better FOV out of your headset. This one actually has notches that actually, I'm not sure if that's going to come through on the camera, so I'll just put the Amazon screen up. but it has notches on the bottom of it where you can move it back and forth to 3 positions, just like the main one that comes with your Quest 3. The difference is the actual material that comes against your face. The Quest 3 one was this cloth that, again, the second you start sweating, that thing absorbed sweat like a sponge, and it was actually disgusting because you had to wait for it to dry back out, or you had to run it under soapy water to get it clean, because if you didn't and you woke up the next day, that thing stank to high heaven. The reason I bought this in the first place is because when I started playing games that were more physical and I started to work up a sweat, I could feel that facial interface just getting more and more gross, to the point where one morning when I woke up, it literally almost made me throw up to put my headset back on. And that was after I had actually cleaned it. This one, like I said, does adjust at 3 different levels, just like the original Quest 3 one, which is great. It also comes with 2 different facial interfaces. There's this like soft silk moisture wicking one that I use. There's also a PU pleather one that comes with it, and that really comes down to your personal taste. So I used the wicking one, and again, I've tested this with some games that got very sweaty in and didn't have a problem with this one at all. These also clean pretty quickly, and it's velcroed on, so it just comes off and goes back on really nice and easy. There is naturally a nose gap in the bottom of this. So if you're someone who wants total immersion, they actually include a little like pleather piece that goes over this to close the nose gap and just block out all the rest of the light. So I actually don't use that because the nose gap is how I cheat to use my live chat when I do live streams of native Quest games. But if you're someone who wants total blackout, there is a little plug-in piece for that as well. So if I had to rank the products like top to bottom, the controller grips were by far my favorite ones. I love these things. I don't even want to test another set from another company. These are fantastic. Number 2 would be the facial interface. This doesn't really trap sweat. It like wicks pretty well. And anyone who's ever had a bad facial interface will know that your lenses start to fog up because all that heat is getting just trapped inside the headset. And every once in a while you have to take it off and just wipe the fog off your lenses, which breaks immersion and it just kind of kills the fun there. So this would be number 2. Number 3 is the strap. I really like the strap. I just thought the facial interface gave me more value versus the original, versus the strap versus actually the Quest 3 strap is really, really bad. And this strap is absolutely worth your money. Honestly, I just like the facial interface more, but this is still a fine product. And then last one's the headphones, but that's really, again, just down to my use case. Your boy's got a large head, your boy's got a thick neck, and I just need a little bit more strength from this. But anyone with an average size head, not a bowling ball like mine, is going to be fine with these. So once again, fantastic products. Thank you very much to AMVR for sending these out to me. If you have any questions about these products, let me know down in the comments. I'll leave a link to each one. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.